What is going on out there, everybody? It is not a great night to be a Mountaineer tonight. As I started recording this, we are currently getting beat 59-20. I don't even know if that's the final score. May have to change my thing, my banner at the bottom. Yep, that's the final. 59-20. West Virginia gets absolutely just demolished, embarrassed. I don't know what I don't know how many words I can come up with for it. By Oklahoma tonight. I really felt like West Virginia had a good chance to win this game, guys, going into this one. I really did. The team had been playing well, I thought. I knew Oklahoma would come into the game pissed off. I knew they would probably play better than they had the previous 2 weeks, but I thought this Mountaineer team was playing well enough to be able to hang with them, at least keep it close. But man, I mean, we didn't look like we even deserved to be on the field with them tonight. Pretty disheartening, disappointing, embarrassing. I don't know however many other words you can think of. Just not a good night, man. Drake Stoops. I mean, I'm gonna look here at the final stats. Last I looked, we had given up almost 700 yards of total offense. Yeah. 645 yards of offense is what we gave up as a defense. And we only, oh my gosh, man. I can't. Total yards, 644 yards for Oklahoma, 330 for us. We had 154 yards passing, 176 yards rushing. I mean, we continued our streak of 140 yards rushing a game, but my gosh, didn't help us much. Only 40.3 yards per carry to their 5.3 yards per carry. That's not going to get it done, guys, against a team like Oklahoma. I don't even know where to start. Before we get started, though, I got to give a shout out to my sponsor, Dutch Miller Automotive. This live stream is brought to you by Dutch Miller Automotive, the home of friends and family pricing, where you get the best deal right up front on any new or pre-loved vehicle in stock every time. With brands like Chevrolet, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Dodge, Kia, Ford, GMC, and Subaru, Dutch Miller Automotive is proud to put you in the car or truck you've been searching for. So stop in today. So check out our inventory across West Virginia at DutchMillerAuto.com or stop in today at a Dutch Miller Automotive location near you. Now, probably didn't get that verbatim word for word, guys, but it's close enough. You guys know Dutch Miller supports the show here. So please show them your appreciation by supporting them. All right. I already got a super chat in the end. Let me see who that is. Snowlord 1999. We thank you for the super chat. So glad we don't have to play them anymore. Me too. Their fans were chanting SEC. Now I hope they go to the SEC and get their tails kicked in, to be honest with you. Especially after what they tried to do to Anthony Wilson. Yeah, just a rough night, guys. Really rough night. If you guys want to make sure your comment gets read, it's probably going to be a pretty busy live stream here tonight. I've already got 77 in here. Probably going to get more as we go. If you want to make sure your comment gets seen, you can drop a super chat. It'll highlight it for me, and I'll be sure to see it, and it moves it to the top and puts a star by it as well. I don't even know where to start. I don't really know that any unit on this team played well tonight. I'm sure somebody did. Garrett Greene did not have a good night. Missed a lot of throws tonight, guys. Was not able to run the ball, which was not totally his fault. Our offensive line, to me, looked like they got absolutely dominated tonight. We had nowhere to run. I mean, we had the ball first and goal on the 1-yard line and couldn't get in. That's absolutely on the offensive line to me. Now, I didn't agree with the play calling. I thought they should have tried something different, at least on the third or fourth try, but they didn't. But, man, I saw a comment that says we need a throwing quarterback. We've had a throwing quarterback for the last 4 years. That didn't work. Now we have a running quarterback. That's not working, but it has worked up until tonight. This game's not all on Garrett Greene. I mean, yes, he didn't play his best, but neither did the people around him. There were still a lot of drop balls. The offensive line was not blocking well. The defense played horrendous, was not able to tackle. Guys were running free in the secondary all night long. Until this defense, guys, is able to play man-to-man with their corners and safeties, anytime we play a quarterback with the talent of Dillon Gabriel, we're going to get eat up. That's just the way it is. There are too many soft spots in this zone that we can't cover. And because we can't cover man-to-man, they have to play zone to try to keep everything in front of them. So they just dink us and dunk us and get those short and intermediate routes, and they complete them all day long. I mean, I think Drake Stoops had 400 yards tonight. Is he really that hard to cover? I know he's a good player. I'm not trying to disrespect the young man, but my Lord, is he that good? Is he that good? Really? I just don't see it. I don't see it. Had a comment by a channel member here I want to address. Big Dan T, who's a VIP member here at Couz's Corner, with a comment. He says sickening. I totally agree, Big Dan T. Absolutely sickening, my man. Lizel Barnes says, hey, Couz, I don't know if you remember, but last week I said that WDB Oklahoma wide receiver matchup would determine the game, and I wish I could not have been more right. I agree with you. You were right. I know there are lots of things that contribute to the loss, but that is a glaring bulk of it. Yeah, I mean, we can't stop them. We absolutely could not stop them. That puts way too much pressure. We are not a team built to come back. Garrett Greene is a run-first quarterback. I mean, he can throw the ball at times. He's good on the deep ball, as we saw. But, guys, the intermediate stuff, he's just really, really inaccurate on it, and has been all year, and tonight it really showed. They were forcing him to complete those balls, and he wasn't doing it. And he wasn't getting any help either. So, like I said, I don't want to put it all on him. I still think he's the starting quarterback for this team and needs to be. But, man, he's got to improve his accuracy in the offseason for next year. And if not, I'll be honest with you, it wouldn't hurt my feelings if this staff went out and got a quarterback out of the portal, because we need an elite quarterback. We need a quarterback like Dillon Gabriel or even better. There's quarterbacks out there a lot better than him too, and he picked us apart tonight. But yeah, go get a quarterback in the portal if you don't think Garrett's going to be able to throw the ball more accurately than that. I still love Garrett Greene though, guys. Like I said, I don't want to bash the young man, but he did not play a good game tonight. Got some super chats rolling in here, guys. Snow Lord 1999, thank you. Says, what I didn't like is Oklahoma going forward on fourth down when they were already winning and kicking our rear end. No care or anything. Yeah, I normally complain about that stuff too, but I don't know, man. Maybe they're trying to get style points. I don't know what they're trying to do. Maybe they were pissed off over the Anthony Wilson didn't get a penalty there in the end zone. I don't know what it was. But not really necessary, but it's big boy football, and you got to stop them. And our guys just aren't good enough to stop them. But I agree with you. It was a little bit Bush League. Big Aaron says, thank you for the $1.99 super chat. He says, passion difference between Brown and Venables night and day. I don't know about that, man. I respectfully disagree. I think Neil Brown has plenty of passion. I mean, you saw passion on the sidelines tonight. I've seen passion, throughout the season, off season. He's just not a yeller and a screamer like some of these other coaches. And, Brent Venables has always been a really energetic guy anyway. It's just his personality. There are a lot of things about Brown that bother me, but it's not that. And I'm is it fair to second guess whether he's the right coach for this team? It absolutely is. I'm not sitting here. I'm not ready to say we need to fire him yet. I don't want to overreact, but man, we look bad tonight, and he's still yet to win a big game to me. I think the highest ranked team he's beaten was ranked 21st or 22nd in the country. That was 2 years ago when he beat Iowa State in Morgantown. They ended up finishing the year 7-6. They ended up not being that good of a team. We got blown out last year by Texas. We got blew out by Iowa State last year, who was terrible, by the way. Penn State beat us pretty handily. Oklahoma has now blew us out. Any team he plays. Now, last year we played with TCU. We did play with TCU, but we didn't win the game. he's still yet to beat a really good football team. Bottom line, in almost 5 full seasons, he has yet, and we still won't have a chance to do it this year because the next two teams we play are terrible. Cincinnati and Baylor. Baylor might be the worst team in the conference. I don't know. Big Dan T, thank you for the super chat, my man. He says the worst part is it will not get any better with Beanie leaving unless we get one hell of a portal class. Our DBs are not getting any better. I agree. And we're also losing Malachi Ruffin, too. Not saying Malachi Ruffin's a superstar, but at least he's been decent. And again, it's two guys. Our safeties haven't played well. It's not just our corners either. Our safeties have struggled in coverage as well. Arby Burks didn't even look great tonight at times. I mean, one time Drake Stoops made him look plumb silly on a route. Had him turn around completely backwards. Tyler, can you honestly say he shouldn't be fired after not being ranked for 5 years and this year not being able to beat a remotely good team? I mean, we looked like an FCS team tonight. Tyler, I don't know, man. On my last show, I don't want to be a hypocrite. On my last show, I said that I would say to keep him if he gets to 7 wins regardless. But to be honest, I did not expect us to look this bad tonight. I thought we would at least. I didn't pick us to win the game, but I didn't think we'd get embarrassed. So that does make me kind of second guess my. It does make me second guess what I said. But again, I don't want to. Sometimes it's easy to overreact after one of these games. And I'd kind of like to see. I've heard through the grapevine that Country Roads Trust has built up a pretty big stash. Has a lot of we'll be able to put a lot of resources behind this team this offseason. And if that's the case, maybe we can get some really good players. I don't know. I'd like to at least see him try. Maybe if Brown gets the right guys, he can win. I don't know. We're just not very talented. Bottom line, we're just not. I don't even think our O-line is as good as we thought. I mean, we heard all offseason how great our O-line was going to be. That's all we heard. Over 130-some starts. 2-3 NFL players on it. Yada, yada, yada. And for the most part, they've played well. But when they play a team with a line that is supposedly as good or better than them, they get absolutely manhandled. Again, first and goal from the 1-yard line, and you can't get it in the end zone. You can't push the other team back 1 yard in 4 tries. That's on the offensive line. Yes, the play calling wasn't perfect. But at the end of the day, it's man versus man. Who's going to win? And Oklahoma won those battles almost all night long on both sides of the ball. Our D-line got ate up to a lot. Our linebackers weren't playing well. They were missing a lot of tackles. And, of course, you saw what our DB did. Our DBs did. It was just bad, guys. It's just absolutely bad. Oklahoma, it looked like we shouldn't even be on the field with them. It's just really, really disappointing, man. I really had my hopes up for this game. I thought we'd come in and at least compete. But no, not even close. Yeah, let's look at the stats real quick, guys. I'll read them to you here. Heck, I'll just show them on the screen. Why not? You guys may want to read along with me. Team stats first. You got first downs, 25-17. We only had 17 first downs in this game. 4 of 16 on third down. That continues to be an issue for this offense. Yet they were 8 of 14 on third down. Fourth downs, we were 2 of 4. They were 2 of 2. Total yards, 330 to 644. Passing, they had 423 yards passing to our 154. They were 23 of 36, 11.8 yards per completion, or per pass, rather. We were 5 yards per pass. We threw 2 picks. Garrett had one, and Nico had one there near the end in garbage time. They had 221 yards rushing to our 176. They were 5.3 yards per carry for our 4.3. We had 2 clean game, only 2 penalties, which was one of the keys, but yet they didn't do us any good tonight. We did have the 2 turnovers, which hurt, especially the 1 pick. And I say that. I don't know if it really hurt. We were already getting blown out before then. We only won the time of possession by about a minute, which for us, we need to win it by about 5 minutes, really, to have a chance to win games. We couldn't get them off the field, and we just couldn't sustain drives. I mean, they muffed 2 punts. The one we got, we couldn't capitalize on it, and then the other one, we couldn't get it. So very disappointing. And when you look at individual stats here, let me do that real quick. Garrett Greene, I have that on the bottom of the screen. 10 of 27, 154 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Nico was over 4 with an interception. CJ carried it 14 times for 79 yards and a touchdown. Jaheim carried it 9 times for only 39 yards. They bottled him up tonight. Garrett ran it 10 times for 24 yards. Well, he wasn't able to get anything going either. Devin Carter was a leading receiver, caught 3 passes for 67 yards and that 1 touchdown. Traylon Ray had 2 catches for 56. Preston had 2 catches for 15. And Cole Taylor had the 1 catch for 3 yards and a touchdown. And Hudson Clement had a catch too. We only had 1 sack. That was Sean Martin. Actually, 2. Jalen Thornton got 1 as well. So we had 2 sacks on the night, 5 TFLs total. No interceptions. Anthony Wilson was the leading tackler with 11. When you look at Oklahoma, listen to these individual stats for Oklahoma. Dillon Gabriel, 23 of 36, 423 yards, 5 touchdowns. Gavin Sawchuck, 22 carries, 135 yards. Dillon Gabriel, 11 carries, 50 yards, 3 touchdowns. Receiving, Drake Stoops, 10 catches, 164 yards, 3 touchdowns with a 60-yarder. Nic Anderson, 4 catches, 119 yards. Austin Stogner had 4 catches for 69 yards and a touchdown. Jaden Gibson had 2 catches for 38 yards and a touchdown. I mean, look at these long, 60, 63, 35, 32. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pass plays over 20 yards. 4 over 30 and 2 over 60. I mean, you can't win football games like that. I'm almost at a loss for words here. This is just bad. I don't know what's worse, this or the Houston game. Well, the Houston game is definitely worse because Houston is not a good team and we should have beat them. But still, guys, this was I mean, we got blown plumb off the field tonight. I don't know, man. Let me see. I got another super chat. Thank you, guys. I've got Big Dan T in the house. The worst part is it will not get any better. Oh, I've already read that one. Okay, I guess I did get to everybody. Thought I had another one here. Okay, there it is. TRM Music. Thank you for the $4.99 super chat, my friend. He says, yeah, this isn't on coaching. The talent disparity was apparent. Hope what you said about CRT is true. Yeah, and still, I don't want to let the coaches off the hook because it's the coach's responsibility to acquire the talent and then develop the talent. And we have an offensive line with, 2 seniors and 3 juniors, if not 2 juniors and a sophomore. No, 2 juniors and a sophomore. I'm sorry. A junior and a sophomore starting. And the 2 seniors and the 1 junior are supposed to be NFL-level talents. If they're that good, they should not be getting beat like that, number one. Zach Frazier was even getting beat tonight. And he's not, he's supposed to be the best center in the country. Best center in the country wouldn't, and he also got beat a lot in the Houston game too. Now look, I'm not saying he's a bad player, and I'm not saying the game's on him. And I'd like to see the PFF grades. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm some kind of expert talent evaluator here, but it looked to me like he got his tail kicked tonight. Just honest. But I'm looking forward to seeing the PFF grades come out to see if that lines up with what I saw with my eyes. But our offensive line just flat out got whipped tonight. And they shouldn't be. They're supposed to be. I mean, their coaches said they had the opportunity to be elite this year. So is it bad coaching, or are the players just not living up to their ability? Which is it? I'm not a big fan of Matt Moore, and I really haven't been for a while now. I just haven't been real vocal about it because I thought this O-line would be good this year, and like I said, they have been good, but I think they could be great, and they haven't been great. Got Outlaw College Football in the house. Thank you, Outlaw, for joining us. Got to talk a little smack, I'm sure. Thank you for the $2 super chat. He says West Virginia versus Marshall in the Motor City Bowl. Got Big Dan T in the house. Thanks again, my friend. He says, it does worry me that we came out with the scripted plays and were crisp, yet after that, we fell apart. And do you think that Nico maybe is not going to be very good? It worries me. Yeah, I'm not that worried about Nico. I hate to be negative, guys. I'll be honest with you. I'm not convinced that Sean Reagan is a great quarterback coach. I'm just not. I know he recruited Nico. I'm sure Nico likes him, or he wouldn't have came to play for him. But, if you look at our quarterback play over the last – now, I know last year Graham Harrell was our quarterback coach, but every other year it's been Sean Reagan. And our quarterback play has not been that good. Garrett's played good at times, but a lot of his has come with his feet and his ability to make something out of nothing. But then at times he like tonight, he missed a lot of throws that a Power 5 quarterback should be making, guys. He really did. And I'm a Garrett Greene fan. I love the guy. You guys have heard me on my show, on Paul's show, talk endlessly about how much I love Garrett Greene. I was vouching for him to be the starter all offseason. Thought he deserved it, and he still does. Because Nico hasn't really shown us any better anymore either. But my point being is he's in his 4th year in the program, right? Or 3rd year anyway. Maybe he should be hitting those throws. I don't know. I'm just something's not working. And they got to figure it out. And the scripted plays, what happens there, that Big Dan team, I think this is what you're alluding to with the scripted plays, is once Oklahoma has a chance to make adjustments, we're not able to make adjustments on our end to offset those adjustments. But I think, and I do think that's part of it, but I just think they were just so much more talented than we are. Their speed was their speed was just killer for us tonight. We could not match up with their speed whatsoever. But again, can we go out in the offseason and get some guys with elite speed? We'll see. That's the only way we're going to compete with teams like that. Now, they are leaving the conference, but still speed is important. And we're going to have some teams coming in here. They're going to have some speed. Colorado's probably going to have speed. I'm sure Deion will go out and get some guys in the offseason. Arizona looks like they're going to be good. Utah. There's going to be some good teams in this league next year, guys, and we've got to get more speed on this team, especially on the edges. And we've got to get DBs who can cover one-on-one. We just don't have enough of those guys. Beanie does okay, but everybody else struggles. At least it seems to me like they're struggling. At least they struggle in big games. They struggled against Penn State. They struggled tonight. They struggled against Houston. They struggled against Oklahoma State at times. They even struggled against UCF, to be honest. But the thing with UCF is we forced 3 turnovers. That was the difference. Dillon Gabriel was not going to make the same mistakes that John Rice Plumlee made because he's a better quarterback, and he just takes care of the ball better. Thank you, Tyler Cobb, for the super chat, my man. Thank you. I don't see a comment there with it. If you want to leave a comment below that, leave it in there, and I'll be sure to look for it. The Al Davis plan. Speed. That's right, baby. Speed. Evil Cowboy says Oklahoma had 2 muff punt return. We should have capitalized and scored on both those. Absolutely, we should have. Aldo Barnes says we took too long to start running inside. That's a fair assessment. Timothy Hedrick Jr., another channel member here, a VIP member here at Couz's Corner, says, sounds like you're saying we need a new coaching staff. Yeah, maybe I am. I've been saying, I've said multiple times, not necessarily recently, but in the past that, I'm not a huge fan of Matt Moore. You guys know I had Tony Franklin on my show, who was basically Neil Brown and Matt Moore's mentor coming up through the ranks, and he loves those guys. He thinks Matt Moore is one of the best coaches in the business. But we got to realize he's probably a little biased because he's coached with Matt Moore, he's friends with Matt Moore, and he's probably helped mentor Matt Moore. So obviously he's going to be a little bit biased. He also says the same thing about Neil Brown. And Chad Scott, too, for that matter, which I don't really have an issue with Chad Scott. I actually think he's one of the better coaches on our staff. Curtis, I don't know. I don't think we'll lose. We could lose one or two more, but I think we'll win at least one more game to get to 7. I've just got to decide in my mind what I think we need to do. I don't know, man. I trust whatever decision Ren Baker makes, I'm going to trust it because he sees what's going on inside that program. He sees how the players respond to Coach Brown. Now, this game tonight, I'm sure is not going to sit well with him because I'm sure he wanted to compete with this team tonight, not get blown off the field. But if he is going to make a decision, he's going to have to make it in the next couple of weeks because you probably don't want to go in to the offseason without knowing what your plan is because you've got to get a head start. If you do plan to fire him, you've got to get a head start on your coaching search. And we're down to 2 weeks left of the regular season, then the bowl game. But the bowl game won't be probably till around the end of December, early January. You can't wait that long to make a decision on your coach. So if he's going to get rid of Neil Brown, we'll probably know it within the next couple of weeks. Big Aaron says if we want to play with teams like this, something needs to change. I agree. Thank you, Tyler. I appreciate it, my man. He says, no comment, just supporting. Nothing else to say about this embarrassment of a game. Tyler, buddy, I appreciate you. I really do, buddy. Faux Show says definitely need new coaching for the secondary and linebackers. I actually, guys, our linebackers are really talented. I'm not worried about our linebackers. We are going to lose Lee Coe, but I think Ben Cutter's only a true freshman. He's been thrown to the wolves a little bit. You've got Trey Latham was playing outstanding until he got hurt. And he's only a redshirt freshman. And then we've got Josiah Trotter, who has been out for the year, who maybe could have started this year as a true freshman. He comes in at like 6'2", 240 already, ready to go. Son of Jeremiah Trotter in the NFL. His older brother, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., is doing big things at Clemson right now. Really, really talented player. Our linebacking core is going to be stacked next year. I'm actually cool with our linebacking coach. I question the O-line coaching. I question the quarterback coaching. The wide receiver coaching, this is his first year. I think we've done better this year than we have in the past. So I'm actually okay keeping him as well. And Jordan Leslie, man, I tell you, I don't know. And our secondary coaches. I think our secondary coaches may need to be evaluated as well. Maybe Ren Baker sits down with Neil Brown and says, look, Neil, you've got to make some changes on this staff because, something's got to change here, man. Maybe he gives him that ultimatum. Make changes or we're going to change it for you. That kind of thing. Wouldn't surprise me if something like that happens. Guys, I got a lot of people in here. If you want, again, you guys probably know how this works. You want to make sure I see your comment, you can drop a super chat. It's also a way to support my show, but it will highlight your comment, bring it to the top where it'll be easier for me to see it because it's impossible for me to read every comment in the chat room with 150 people. So Snowlord 1999 with another comment. Thank you, Snowlord. He says, don't think Neil Brown survives with 7 wins. We'll see, man. We will see. Big Dan T, another super chat. Also, channel member here at Couz's Corner. He says, here's what I wonder. Was the bad play calls just bad calls, or do you think they were trying to simplify the playbook? Let's be honest. Those goal line and other plays were telegraphed horribly. Yeah, I don't know, Big Dan T. I was wondering the same thing myself. I'm going to try to put myself in Neil Brown's head for a minute on that goal line stand deal. I think he realized we didn't have enough speed to beat Oklahoma on the edges. So he thought our best bet was to run up the middle where in the previous games we've been successful. But unfortunately, our O-line was not able to get push against this D-line like they have against other teams, which again falls on the O-line. If you can't push the other team back 1 yard in 4 straight tries, that's a problem, in my opinion. That's a big problem. Either they wanted it more than you did, or they're just flat out better than you. One or the other. Or both. It's a great question, Dan. Scroller's not working great here, guys. All right. I'd rather have Neil Brown than Jimbo. Jimbo only, yeah, I don't want Jimbo guys. I would like to get somebody different. You know, the coach doesn't have to have West Virginia ties. Now, look, there are guys with West Virginia ties I wouldn't mind, but I don't think it's a necessity. Wayne says no chance Neil is fired. Wonder if we would be able to bring in Gary Patterson for defense. Not a bad idea. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I just don't. I think Gary Patterson's a Texas guy. He's probably always going to want to coach in and around Texas if possible. Luke Bart says no Jimbo. Luke's also a channel member. Thank you, Luke. Yeah, I mean, there's Paul Christa's out there. Guys, listen, Tom Herman's out there. There are a lot of good candidates out there, man. I trust. Look, I think Rim Baker has done a good job with the crap he's been handed since he got here. I think he's done a pretty darn good job with it, of handling it. You know, he had the whole Huggins debacle to deal with. He's had, obviously the football program situation. He lost his women's basketball coach unexpectedly, and they look like they're going to be pretty good. The women's basketball team's 2-0, just beat Pitt. You can say that, he handled the Huggins situation wrong. If you want to, that's fair. But I just think the way the situation, the timing of that situation, he didn't have much of a choice there, guys. There were a lot of coaches that want this job, but they didn't want to take it at that moment because they were already so far into the close to the season starting with their current teams. They basically would have been screwing their current team to take that job, and they didn't want to do that to them. Outlaw, who's a channel member here at Couz's Corners, VIP member, says, I've been watching college sports for a long time, and let's be honest, Neil Brown is not your issue. Bottom line is the majority of your alums and fans. I got the secret. See ya. Outlaw, I'm completely confused. Completely, I don't even know what he means, guys. Somebody's gonna have to fill me in on what the heck he means. John Waffle, H2Ps in the house. Oops, clicked on the wrong one. Faux Show says, I feel Jamal Adai could reignite our secondary play. I don't disagree with you necessarily, Faux Show, but there's something going on with Alonzo Adai or Jamal Adai. He's been in a lot of schools and he doesn't stay there very long. So to me, that's kind of a red flag. John Waffle, H2P, thank you for the super chat, my man. He says, hey, I was wondering, why don't you guys do LED lights? I saw a few University of West Virginia games, and it looks cheap. LED lights are the way to go, or is University where that broke they can't afford? What are you talking about, John? LED lights. Dude, they've actually improved the stuff. First off, the game was in Oklahoma tonight, so I don't know what you're talking about. And they have started doing some lighting and stuff at the games. They've started doing fireworks. They've started doing a lot more stuff at games than they did in the past. So I understand what you're saying, but they have implemented some new lighting and things at games this year, John. You probably didn't know that. But anyway, hey, I appreciate the super chat, man. And I don't know that we have LED lights necessarily. I don't know what the lights are, but he has made some changes. And yes, they're in the red, about 45 million, but I don't know that it's necessarily affecting our athletic department as much as it is the university as a whole. Yeah, I'd love to have Brian. I'd be okay with Brian Hartline. You know you're going to get good receivers if you got Brian Hartline. Paul Christ and Tom Herman would both be better than Neil Brown. I don't care what anybody says. John spent his ticket money on super chat trolls. Hey man, as long as he's willing to pay me $9.99, I'll let him talk all kinds of junk. Ocho85 says our sports programs need more funding from alumni. Okay, that's what he was talking about, and that's probably true. But I think we're getting it. That's the thing. I think we're getting that. That's why I'm kind of reluctant, guys, to sit here and say you need to fire Neil Brown right now, because I think I really think if we get more, they say it's about the Jimmies and Joes. If we can get the right Jimmies and Joes, we're going to be better. I think. We'll see. Like I said, I will trust Ren Baker to make the right decision. No, I mean in Morgantown, why don't they turn out the lights? UCF does it, we do it. Oh, you do. Oh, I got you. I don't know, man. That's a good question. That was pretty neat. I got to admit. I don't know. That's a good question, and I do remember them doing it. I do remember them doing it in Pittsburgh last year when I was at the game. But that's a fair question. You'd have to ask Grim Baker that question. He should pay $9.99 to you again to respond if he went to the game. That's $10 you'll never get back. Oh, did Lance Leipold have the Jimmies and Joes last year? You got to remember though, they finished 6 and 7. Now they're already better than that this year, but and he did in some cases, but not all. But he did have Jalen Daniels. That guy counts for quite a bit. Big Aaron, $1.99. Thank you for the super chat. He says, WVU lives in past too much, don't need any West Virginia ties. There you go. Now, I'm okay if they have West Virginia ties, but it's not a necessity. Like, I would actually be cool with them hiring a lot of you guys may disagree with this, but I would actually be on board if they wanted to give Tony Gibson a shot at the job. I think Tony Gibson would do a great job at West Virginia. I think he has what it takes to be a head coach. Guys want to play for him. They love playing for him. Look what his defenses have done at NC State. I've heard his name brought up to be the D coordinator at USC now that they fired Alex Grinch. And if you're good enough to be DC at USC, guys, then, you're doing something right. You're doing something right. But there are a lot of good coaches out there, and look, I'm sure Ren has his list of guys like every AD does. So I trust, and he has a lot of connections with other. I mean, heck, he's good friends with Joe Castiglione at Oklahoma. He's good friends with Mike Rhodes at Baylor. He's good friends with a lot of ADs throughout the country. He's well connected. He knows who to ask. He knows who the good coaches are. And I trust him to make the right hire. Chris Murphy, thank you for the $5 super chat. He says, "What is your thoughts on Joe Manchin possibly taking over the president at WVU?" I was wondering when somebody was going to ask me that question. I have mixed feelings on it. I'm not real happy with Gordon Gee, so I would be okay with him taking Gordon Gee's place. But here's the problem: Joe Manchin is almost as old as Gordon Gee. I don't think they need to bring in a president that's almost 80 years old. Number one, I'm not trying to age discriminate here, but how long is he going to be able to serve in the role realistically? You need somebody that can be there a long time. Number one. And I'm not saying he can't do the job at that age, but he's probably going to retire soon, and it would be a temporary job, right? A short-term deal. We need a long-term deal, a long-term president. And I'd like to have somebody younger with new ideas, new ways of doing things. And then also there's been some controversy around Joe Manchin and his daughter. His daughter getting degrees there that she didn't earn because of her ties to him, and there's just so much controversy surrounding Joe Manchin that I don't know that it would be a great idea, to be honest with you, Chris. That's a great question. Big Dan T, $4.99 super chat says, "We don't turn off the lights because we have beautiful colors and uniforms. Pitt has to turn the lights off to keep people from barfing." LOL. I like it, Big Dan T. You're making me laugh, man. I needed that. Back to the Joe Manchin question, though. That's an interesting question. Another thing I wouldn't like about Joe Manchin is I've heard from multiple people that one of the issues West Virginia has had over the years is there's kind of been a good old boy network there at West Virginia that's been running things for a long time, and that's kind of set us back. And Ren Baker is not in that good old boy network, so bringing back Joe Manchin, I would venture to say that he's probably part of that network, that good old boy network. And I'm not sure that it's a good idea to bring in somebody like that. I think Joe Manchin is going to run for president of the United States, not president of yeah, and he's against NIL too. That would be an issue. Oliver Luck, that's interesting, Curtis. Oliver Luck is president. Not sure that he would be interested in it, but hey, I'd be okay with it, and I'm sure he could do it. He's a very intelligent guy. He's ran companies. He's ran organizations. He's ran sports leagues. He's done a lot, so I'm sure he could do it. He's had high positions with the NCAA. Josh McDaniels is available. We can still go 8-4. I'll take it. Hey, look, that's what I'm saying. I'm not on here saying we need to fire Neil Brown. I don't know that that's the answer. Now, I do think that we probably need to look at some staff changes. But I just don't know that firing Neil's the answer. I think if the alumni and boosters step up and give money to the MAC and give money to primarily to Country Roads Trust to keep our good players here, and then bring in some more good and even better players, especially at the defensive back spot and maybe the receiver spot, then I think we can be good next year. I really do. And let's not forget, we don't have to play Oklahoma again. You know, when Utah's going to be coming in, they're going to be good, but we don't play them next year. We play Arizona, who looks like they might be really good. David Lee, yeah, there's a rumor going around. Joe Manchin is resigned. He's not going to run for re-election for U.S. Senate. And there is a rumor going around that he might be the next president of WVU because Gordon Gee's is ready to retire in a couple years. I hope they fire Neil Brown. He needs to go. And a lot of people feel that way, Pokemon, Kid Entertainment. I'm just not sure I'm there yet. Thank you, Eric. Yeah, they were too big and physical, but that's part of the problem, man. There's no reason West Virginia can't be big and can't be physical. And they were also too fast for us. We need to get more physical, and we need to get faster. They need speed. Jordan Leslie, last chance you just ended. LOL. Yeah, verdict still out on him too. I'm not sure how I feel about Leslie. I don't know, man. Yeah, Manchin's against NIL too, Timothy. That could be a problem. You don't want that. Ram Baker is doing a really good job embracing NIL, helping with the fundraising aspect, you know, within the legal boundaries. So we don't want to lose that. I'm not a big football dude. I've been trying to get it in WVU as my team. Could someone please explain to me what the big issue with WVU's playing is? Jeremiah, it's kind of an opinion, I guess, but we have our defensive backs, which would be the cornerbacks and the safeties who mainly cover the receivers. They haven't played well for the last 2 years. This year they've been a little better, but still not good enough, giving up way too many passing yards. We also have had inconsistent quarterback play. Now, Garrett Greene has played really good at times this year, but tonight he was off. He was missing a lot of easy throws. And then our receiver play has been inconsistent too. We've had a lot of receivers dropping passes. We've had receivers that don't run the best routes and get open. And then in tonight's game, specifically, the offensive line didn't block well enough, and Oklahoma just basically pushed them around and bullied them on the line. So that was the issue. But and Jeremiah, the thing is with football, it can vary game to game. It might be a different reason every game because you have all 11 guys on offense, and then you've got 11 guys on defense. They all have to work together in unison. And if one guy messes up, it messes up the whole play. That's the beautiful thing about football is it's the ultimate team sport. Luke Bart, thank you for being a channel member. He says, I agree we need more NIL money to keep the better players and get some higher level talent. And I think that's what Outlaw's comment was about earlier when he said it was all about it wasn't Neil Brown, it was the alums and donors that needed to step up. Let Bob Huggins be president. Yeah, I'm not sure that would go over real well with the board of directors. 8-4 and pick last in the Big 12, I'll take it. It's definitely an improvement, Cole. It definitely is, and I don't want to lose sight of that. Now, there are going to be people who say it's only because we played a weak schedule, and maybe that's true, but you know what? You've got to play the games on your schedule. So if we can come out and finish 8-4, I will still look at it as an improvement. After that loss, I think they will take the scenic ride back. I doubt it. They want to get home as quick as they can and get this behind them. That's for sure. 8-4 with no good wins. That's fair. Win out and he keeps his job. It'll be hard to fire a man at 8-4. Looked like we were going through the motions. What is your number one must-have as a fix, regardless of the remaining games this season? Defensive secondary, man. Our defensive secondary has got to be fixed. That's a number one priority for me in the offseason. They've been bad for 2 years in a row. Now, this year, like I said a minute ago, it has improved, and bringing in Beanie Bishop was a big reason for that. But he's leaving, and so is Malachi Ruffin. Jacoby Spell so far has not been able to step up and fill that role. He has played some snaps, but he's not been consistent. Andrew Wilson-Lamp was starting there, and he's lost his job and hasn't even been put back in the game much since. I don't know who they're going to put there. Montre Miller, the transfer from Kent State, had a season-ending injury. I don't even know if he's played this year. Not even sure if he's going to be eligible next year either. I think there's an eligibility question. I think he's having to apply for a waiver, I believe. So, but yeah, the secondary for sure is the number one thing I think we need to fix. Faux show. That is faux show what we need to fix. Gamecock Chuck, thanks for hopping in, my man. He says, "What's up, Couz? Rough night for the Mountaineers." Yeah, man, it was a rough night. Looks like the Gamecocks. Did the Gamecocks play today? I haven't had a chance to look. People would have been happy because they thought the teams we would beat would be better, but they aren't. We have no valuable wins. It's hard to argue with that one, Tyler. David Lee says leadership is the key. How about UCF beating the crap out of Oklahoma State? Yeah, that's something else I want to talk about, Jeffrey. We had some things fall into place today that would have helped us potentially get into the Big 12 championship. Oklahoma State lost, which they need to lose one more. They would have needed to lose one more time for us to pass them in the standings. Kansas lost today, which would have helped us too, because we were tied with Kansas for third place, I guess it was, in the conference. And they lost today, which would have gave them their third conference loss. Had we won, we would still only have 2 conference losses, and we would be tied in that category with Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Texas, or not Texas, but yeah, us and Kansas State, I believe, and maybe Iowa State because they play later tonight, so their game's not over yet. But I don't think the wide receiver room's that bad, Bo. I don't, man. We're kind of young there. And you got to remember, wait a minute. Let me back up a minute. We're not bad, but it could be better. We don't really have. Now I think Traylon Ray has the ability, the talent to be the number one guy, but he's only a true freshman. So I think he has a chance next year to step up and be the number one guy. And I think Hudson Clement and Preston Fox are good receivers, but they're not number one guys. We need a number one guy. I'll be honest. I don't even think Devin Carter is a number one receiver. We don't have a true go-to number one receiver. Most teams have that guy you go to when you need a play, somebody to make a play. We don't really have that guy. We spread the ball around as multiple guys. E.J. Horton had a rough night tonight. He had a couple drops that he should have caught. I think he has the opportunity to be really good. He's got elite speed, but he just needs to do a better job catching the ball and running routes more consistently. Same thing with Hudson Clement. I think he needs to be more consistent getting open. And then Preston Fox, I think Preston Fox is good. He's not an elite level talent. He's a good receiver and a good quality receiver at this level, but he's never going to be elite, if that makes sense. We need a Stedman Bailey or a Tavon Austin or a Kevin White type guy. We haven't had one of those since Neil Brown's been here. John Waffle, H2P, thank you for the super chat again. He says, has W ever beaten an SEC team? What is their record? We have, John. You caught me off guard with that one. I know we've beaten Auburn. We've beaten Mississippi State. We beat the crap out of Tennessee a couple years ago in Charlotte in a neutral site game. We beat Georgia in the Sugar Bowl back in 2006. So yes, to answer your question, we have beaten plenty of SEC teams in our day. No problem, Fo Show. I appreciate the support, my man. Glad I was able to get to your comment. See, guys. See anything else, guys? Let me see what else we got here. I'm pretty excited for this team next year, says Jeffrey Foster. I think we'll be in the top 4 of the Big 12 next year. We're pretty young now, and I think things are only going to get better. Yeah, that's one. Like I said, when I came on here earlier tonight, I said I don't want to overreact to this one game. Yes, we were embarrassed. We looked terrible. There's no denying that. We looked terrible. We looked like we shouldn't have even been on the field with Oklahoma. But when you step back and look at it from the 30,000-foot view, we don't have the talent we need to compete with a team like Oklahoma. But that doesn't mean we can't get that talent. And also, we're not going to have a team as good as Oklahoma, I don't think, in the league next year. Now, some will say, yeah, but Oklahoma lost to Oklahoma State. But if you look at Oklahoma's 2 losses, they combined for 6 turnovers in those games. They had 6 combined turnovers in those 2 games. That's the only reason they lost them. If they don't turn it over 6 times, they're sitting here undefeated right now. Oklahoma's a really good football team, talent-wise. Now, they still need help to get into the Big 12 title game, and they probably won't get it. But I think they are over. I think if they played Oklahoma State 10 times, Oklahoma's probably winning 7 or 8 of those times. Just my opinion. Big Dan T says, has Pitt ever gotten their head out of their ass? Oh, and by the way, John Waffle, H2P, since we've been in the Big 12, we've played Texas 12 times, and we're 6-6 against them. So that might answer that question. Dennis White Widman says it's time for a change. Damn, W 16-21 all time versus SEC teams. Thank you, Trey, for looking that up. Appreciate the info. I'm gonna put that on the screen here. So yeah, obviously we have a losing record against the SEC, but I would venture to guess most teams do. Luke says, yeah, we're young. At least we should be able to bounce back in the next couple of weeks. I didn't even think we'd make a bowl this year, so I'll take it. And Dana was always getting blown out by Oklahoma. Yes and no. He never beat Oklahoma, but he did come close a couple of times. Remember the 2018 game when they beat us? I think it was 59-56. And had we won the game, we would have actually had a rematch against them in the Big 12 title game. But unfortunately, we got called for blocking out of bounds, which is a call I've still not seen called since then. I think it was Marcus Sims, or not Marcus Sims, but I can't remember the receiver's name, guys. You'll have to help me out with that one. But nonetheless, he got called for blocking out of bounds, and on an Oklahoma DB, and we had been driving down the field, and I think we were in the red zone, getting ready to score a touchdown, which we likely would have done because neither defense could stop the other one, and that would have arguably won the game for us. We have beaten OU and Texas, which are SEC teams. What's up, Killer Breeze? Thank you for hopping in, my man. Congratulations on the win, brother. You guys just outmanned us tonight. We didn't have the talent to stack up with you guys. Oklahoma came in this game pissed off. They were going to get revenge. They were taking their last 2 weeks out on West Virginia tonight, and that's what happened. And our guys just weren't ready for it. We just didn't have the speed, and we didn't play well enough up front. Didn't Pitt lose to Wake? Pitt's won 2 games this year, guys. So any trash talk he does. TJ Simmons, thank you, the chef, was a player. And also Mr. West V, thank you as well for answering that question. But Snowlord 1999, thank you for the super chat. He says, I would have rather played Texas than Oklahoma. Maybe. Either way, it may have been the same result. Either way, I don't know. They're both very talented. Michael Olenek, Pitt is 2-8 this year. The sports writers got it flipped wrong with Pitt and West Virginia. Killer Breeze, thanks, man. I was worried. Home field helped a lot as well. I think the view is going to be fine. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate the kind words. Jeffrey Foster says, I think we lost because Kurt Herbstreit picked West Virginia as his super dog, so he jinx us. But then he actually ended up picking us to lose the game at the end when they did their picks. So he turned his back on us there. Gamecock Chuck says West Virginia is actually 7-4-1 against South Carolina. Thank you, Gamecock Chuck, for that trivia. Eugene Burns, thank you for the super chat, $1.99 super chat. He says, what happens if we lose to Cincinnati? I do not want to think about that one. That would not be good because it's a home game. Cincinnati's arguably the worst. I don't even know if it's arguable. They're the worst team in the conference. Did they beat Houston tonight, by the way? I haven't seen the score. But if they're not the worst team, they're one of the worst teams in the conference. If we lose to them at home, it'll be bad. They might run Neil Brown out of town. I don't know. John Waffle, yes. 0-1, 24-21 loss versus South Carolina, 1995. Hypothetical score against Georgia. For West Virginia? Oh, my gosh. 65-7. Same score that was in the national championship last year. Because this Georgia team this year is not as good as that one last year, and then we're not as we're not as good as that TCU team either. If we lose to Cincy, it'll be a long Thanksgiving. You got that one right. Cincy beat Houston. Okay. Is the fan base down on Neil Brown? Oh, definitely. After tonight's beat down, absolutely, man. I'm not saying I'm down on him, yes, but I'm not ready to say he needs fired. I'm hearing that our NIL game is going to be really strong this offseason, and if that's the case, I'd like to see one offseason, what he can do with one offseason with really strong NIL backing, which we supposedly have now, and see what happens. Then if he doesn't get it done, then we can say, okay, he's not the guy. That's kind of how I feel about it. But now, if we screw up and end up losing the next two games against Cincinnati and Baylor, then I'll say he needs to go. But right now, assuming he wins at least one of those games, I think we need to keep him and see what we can do with NIL and what kind of players we can get here. ISU is killing BYU. Yeah, I kind of expected that. BYU's a bad team, guys. I saw them in person last week. They're bad. Skittle Bree says, man, if we win out and end up 8-4 and win the bowl game to end 9-4, I feel like, you talking about now? Are you talking about West Virginia? Yeah, we could theoretically do that still. Now look, Oklahoma was a better team tonight, but West Virginia also played bad tonight. It was kind of a both. We had to bring our absolute best game to even have a chance, and they didn't. They brought a D game or F game, which made it look even worse. Hunter Guy 558 says, after we didn't get that stupid 4-2, that's when the downfall of this game started. Was I a player? I played high school ball, Jeremiah, but I didn't go any further than that. We won time of possession, yeah, but barely by like a minute. And in order for West Virginia to win games, they need to win time of possession by 4 or 5 minutes a game. Yeah, I think WVU will win the last two. Yeah, we better, man. If not, they'll run Neil Brown out of town. I'm telling you. Because Baylor's terrible and Cincinnati's terrible. And we play Cincinnati at home. So Baylor's out of bowl contention right now. So I'm not saying they won't play hard, because I'm sure they will because they have pride, but they're just not good. Now, one thing I haven't touched on yet is the injury to C.J. Donaldson. I don't know if any of you guys, if Neil Brown's had his press conference yet. I'd like to know. C.J.'s injury looked pretty bad, guys. I think he might have broken an ankle, or maybe at least had a bad sprain in that ankle. And if that's the case, he might be out for the rest of the year. We're going to smoke. I hope we smoke Cincinnati. We should. Yes, Curtis, we did lose to Houston, but we played terrible in that game, man. And it was at Houston. It was on the road. Dana Holgorsen, you got to admit, Dana Holgorsen wanted to win that game badly. Probably worse than Neil Brown did, to be honest, because Neil Brown doesn't have that connection with Dana, like he has to West Virginia. They had a chance for a title shot because UCF tore up Oklahoma State. That I know, Kevin. That was that's what I said earlier, man. Things were falling into place for us. Kansas got beat today, which helped us. Oklahoma State got beat today, which helped us. So now all we needed, we would need Kansas State to lose. We would have needed Kansas State to lose one time in the next couple of weeks, and we would have needed Oklahoma State to lose again, or Texas to lose twice, and then we could have got in the Big 12 title game. But unfortunately, it didn't happen that way. We only had 2 penalties, Jeffrey. So, I mean, the penalty front was fine. Penalties was not the issue tonight. I don't even know that turnovers were the issue. We just could not do anything. We couldn't stop. We couldn't get push up front, and we just could not stop their passing game. Dillon Gabriel absolutely ate us up, which I got to give my friend Mountaineer Paul credit. He called it. He told me the other day, he said, Dillon Gabriel's probably going to pick us apart because we play that zone, and he's going to pick that zone defense apart. When you play a quarterback that's accurate like Dillon Gabriel is, it's hard to play a zone, man. You need to be able to play some man coverage, and we just don't do that, and we don't do it enough, and we don't do it well because we don't cover good enough to do it. And then we weren't able to get pressure on him enough to affect his throws. And this West Virginia defense is not good unless we get pressure. We're just not, because our DBs have to cover too long, and they're not good enough back there to do that. And to be fair, most DBs aren't at that level. All right, guys. I've been on here an hour. What is it? I don't even know what time it is here. I know it's close to midnight here on the East Coast. So I'm going to answer this one last question here, guys. Couz, as far as speed guys go, I missed the Tavon Austin Mario Alford Shelton days. We need guys like that again. Yeah, Mr. Westview, we do. We've got a couple guys with some speed, but they just haven't been able to take advantage of it yet and make plays like they need to, whether it's drop passes, whether it's not being able to run routes, those kind of things. But anyway, I want to jump off of here. Guys, I really appreciate everybody's support. Thank you guys for hopping on here with me. Being able to do this helps me get over the games, to be honest with you. Kind of gets it out of my system. Allows me to vent a little bit. You have a good night too, Killer Breeze. Thank you, man. Good luck to you guys the rest of the way too. But anyway, that being said, yeah. You got me sidetracked, man. Thank you for the kind words. But yeah, thank you for hopping on here. I appreciate all your support. It gives me a chance to vent after the games and kind of get over the games. And, because my wife does, she don't want to hear me fuss about it. She gets tired of hearing me fuss about it. So it's good to have somebody to come on, some people to come on here and do it with. But anyway, guys, I'm going to call it a night. Thanks again for hopping on. It's always a great day to be a Mountaineer, Big Dante, even though tonight it's a little tougher, right? It's not a little tougher. Anyway, thanks again, guys. I'm out. Hope you have a top shelf rest of your night. And if you're watching this on the replay, the rest of your day. And even though it was a losing effort, we still have to cue Country Roads.